Ever wondered why the last leader of the Soviet Union is celebrated in the West, but often disliked in his own country? Let's talk about Mikhail Gorbachev. Gorbachev came to power in 1985 and knew the Soviet Union needed a major shakeup. He introduced a famous policies, glasnost, which means openness, allowing more freedom of speech and transparency, and perestroika, meaning restructuring, aimed at modernizing the failing Soviet economy. For the West, these were groundbreaking moves. He helped end the Cold War peacefully, signed major nuclear arms reduction treaties, and, crucially, he allowed Eastern European countries to break free from Soviet control without sending in the tanks. Think about the fall of the Berlin Wall and German reunification. Gorbachev's refusal to use force was key. That's why he's seen as a hero of diplomacy and peace in places like America and Europe. But back home in Russia, the story is very different. His reforms didn't fix the economy. Instead, they led to chaos. People faced food shortages, soaring prices, and widespread poverty. Many Russians blame him for the collapse of the Soviet Union itself, which they view as a national humiliation that cost them their superpower status. The 1990s that followed were incredibly tough, marked by economic collapse and corruption, and many trace that turmoil back to Gorbachev's policies. They see him not as a reformer, but as the man who lost an empire. So, would the USSR have collapsed without him? Most historians agree that the Soviet system was already cracking. The economy was stagnant, bureaucracy was out of control, and nationalist movements were on the rise. But Gorbachev's reforms definitely sped up the process. He tried to fix the system, not destroy it, but his policies unleashed forces that the old structure just couldn't handle. In a way, he accelerated the inevitable, making the collapse happen faster and more peacefully than it might have otherwise. Today, the official Russian government view, especially under Vladimir Putin, is largely critical. The collapse of the USSR is often called a geopolitical catastrophe, and Gorbachev is framed as naive or weak for giving away. While some liberals in Russia still respect him for bringing in freedom of speech, the dominant narrative is one of loss. So Gorbachev was a visionary peacemaker who accelerated the fall of an empire that was already in decline. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below.